Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to start. Hey guys, what's up? This is Phoebe.
And this is Mike.
This is the Mike and Phoebe show, and today we are talking to Ben Sandoval. Ben is the Economic Development Manager at the City of Hemet. Welcome, Ben.
Yay, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
Yes, we're so excited and honored that you're joining us on our podcast. You're going to talk to us about all things City of Hemet development topics. So I'm going to go over your bio. Ben Sandoval boasts a career spanning over 20 plus years. His academic journey led him to California State University at Dominguez Hills, where he earned a bachelor's degree in business administration and a minor in public relations. This solid educational foundation has been instrumental in shaping his professional path. Throughout his extensive career, Ben has worked with thousands of businesses, offering business solutions that have significantly contributed to their growth and success. Ben's expertise in identifying and implementing effective business strategies has made him a valuable asset in the industry. His ability to understand the unique needs of each business, market trends, labor market information, and provide tailored solutions has earned him a stellar reputation. Currently, Ben serves as the Economic Development Manager at the City of Hemet. In this role, he continues to leverage his vast experience and knowledge to foster economic growth and development within the community. His commitment to enhancing the economic landscape of Hemet is evident through his proactive approach and dedication to supporting local businesses. Ben's career is a testament to his unwavering dedication to business excellence and community development. That's so awesome, Ben.
Sure is.
Well, thank you for having me. First and foremost, I heard this was the podcast in Riverside County to come to, so I am honored to be here. Thank you to both of you for having me.
Yes, we're so humbled and we're so happy that we're able to meet up. We met, Mike and I, we met through the Hemet San Jacinto Valley Chamber of Commerce through many of their mixers, and we love the Chamber of Commerce there. So shout out to Cindy and Kevin. Hey. And now today, Ben is here to talk to us about a few interesting topics from the City of Hemet. So let's dive right into it. Now, we know a little bit about your background, Ben, but what about the City of Hemet's background?
You know what? That is a great way to segue this podcast here. I'm sure many people that listen to your podcast are familiar with Riverside County, more importantly, the City of Hemet. But you know what? I would like to go down memory lane, if I may. And this would only take a few minutes, but I think it's important to kind of cover where Hemet started and where Hemet is and where is Hemet going. Future tense. Where is Hemet going? But before we get there, let's rewind a couple hundred years, shall we? We rewind. Now we're back in the 1800s here. This particular area, actually, as we may or may not know, was very heavily populated by Native Americans, by the Saboba and the Kulia tribe, and they were here for many, many hundreds of years. And prior to that, this is the Valley of the Mammoth. There's been quite a discovery of fossils, and the city and with the museum working together, we'd like to grow that even bigger. And I'll explain what that is as we get further along with some of these questions on what is the future of Hemet. So after that, it served as a mission, as a land for the Mission San Luis mission in regards to cattle ranching. It was used for cattle ranching for about 20, 30 years before Mexico got its independence, believe it or not. And the rancho was actually given to Jose Antonio Ostudio for about 50,000 acres, believe it or not, and that encompasses the whole valley. And they were able to hold on to that land, and it got patented by the government in 1880. So he was able to hold on to that land for such a long time, and he gave it to his son as well. And in 1887, things started to change in Hemet. A big conglomerate company by the name of W.F. Whittier. Mr. Whittier decided to come out to Hemet with his partner, Mr. Mayberry, and together they founded the Lake Hemet Water Company, which put Hemet on the map. It changed the whole dynamic in regards to being a small little town to actually getting incorporated as a city on January 1910, where both of its residents decided, you know what, it's time to put Hemet on the map. We're going to incorporate it and we're going to make it even better. So since then, it's experienced many different times, particular in the last 100 years. Hemet saw a boom of population, and some of you may be aware Hemet has seen some greater days in regards to our downtown, our Florida corridor. I think it was called the most richest street in America, with the most deposits you can find were in the city of Hemet. You can drive around, beautiful palm trees. I was just looking at prior to this podcast, at the Hemet historical book with old pictures. What a memory down memory lane. But more importantly, if you look at the 2000 episode of Mr. Hugh Hauser, he came to Hemet and he highlighted many things. And at the time, in 2000, the residents called Hemet a 55 plus community, meaning if you were 55 or above, you were going to come to Hemet. Let's forward 24 years from now. We're in 2024. Well, our average medium age is 38.7. We haven't done a full 180 shift, but we've done about a 90-degree shift in angle in regards to what our population used to be and where we're going. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea where Hemet is and where we've been and where we plan to go in regards to the history component.
That's very interesting that you mentioned that. I didn't know that back in, was it 1911? You said, when did City of Hemet actually get incorporated?
January of 1910.
1910.
Wow.
That is amazing. It's going back over 100 years, and that's such rich history too, from the Native Americans, then now to, fast forward to the present time, where it used to be 55 and over, but now it's kind of gone backwards a little bit in terms of the age median. So that's very interesting. And when you mentioned that, I kind of looked at Mike. I was like, wow, I remembered back in 10 years ago, maybe it was more of a 55 and plus, but then now when we're out there around town and stuff, I see more young people, but there is a little bit of an older section, which is just fine. But yeah, I thought that to be very interesting as the facts coming in as data, census information.
Yeah, it's not an old folks town no more.
And we want to be cognizant to our demographics. Not that our older population, city is going to forget about. Far from it. We want them to join us on the ride. But I'm so glad that you both noticed that Hemet is seeing a younger generation, because with the new developments we have, over 5,000 homes in entitlement, those are all going to be the younger generation. In regards to the millennials, the families that may not be able to afford LA Orange County, a starter home there, it's about 800,000 to 900,000. A starter home in Hemet, you can still probably get one brand new for about $520. So it's still a good bang for your buck out here in Hemet. Reason for the change. So I'm glad you both noticed that.
Yes, absolutely. And LA Orange County is ridiculous. We tried to live there. I mean, I was from Orange County, Anaheim. And when we got married, we couldn't find anything, and we had dual income, and nothing came close to our income.
Yeah, I've been in Paris my whole entire life.
Yeah, it was too much for us. Riverside, Orange County and LA. It was way too rich for us.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you both came out here to Riverside County.
Yes. I've grown to love Paris over the last, how long? Well, we moved here. For me, I moved here 3 years ago, but Mike's been here all his life, 48. Wow.
Yeah, except for moving away for a couple of years, but still coming to see the parents while they're still living here.
Yeah, our heart was always here.
Mike changed from a small town to what it is now. It really, Lake Elsinore and our neighbors are doing some great work. I'll touch into a little more on that one, but they're doing some good stuff out there.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Ben, you mentioned a little bit about this new catchphrase going around, and I've heard it too. So tell me, what about Discover Hemet, this new catchphrase?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because we haven't released it to the public yet. We haven't done anything. I kind of want to do the breaking news here. City of Hemet is going to be, we're in the process of rebranding ourselves, not necessarily changing our insignia or our actual seal, but maybe reamping our logo. Why is that? Because we want to make sure when people think of Hemet, they think of a place where they can discover Hemet. They can get lost in Hemet. We have so many beautiful landmarks, such as the historical Hemet Theater, Airtopia Adventure Park that just opened about a couple months ago, and it feels like Disneyland when you go in there in a good way. They got long lines. We got also the Ramona Bowl. We got our new skate park that just opened up here. And more importantly, we got historical history. The Hemet Maystone, a beautiful petroglyph that people are trying to figure out where it came from. So with that, we're starting a new campaign called Discover Hemet. And then the flyer is going to be posted later on today in our social media. Wanted to break the news here first. And it's going to be a sense of a campaign. We want people to come from LA, Orange County to discover us. There are many people, and I mention this not in a bad way, but in a good way, because now we can lure them in, are not familiar with our Diamond Valley Lake. Or, hey, you know what? We got nice blossoms that happen here in March. Other cities may not want traffic because people park right off the freeway or whatever the case may be. We want those folks. We want them to take a drive down in Aminogi and explore and get lost and discover him. And so, to your point, this is going to be a campaign to lure individuals, and we are currently in the process of dealing with a LA news channel to showcase this on a more in a regional sense, because we understand here in Hemet that as much as we want to make it great, it's going to take an arsenal. The city can only do so much, but when we partner up, we go into a regional approach. Not only can people get lost and discover Lake Elsinore, for example. Hey, stop on by, make it a day activity. Stop and visit multiple cities, but we definitely want to increase traffic. We want to make sure that people realize that Hemet is not only just a city where, okay, well, we heard Hemet on the news for X amount of reasons. Now we're hearing about Hemet on the news because we're doing good stuff. We opened up a new restaurant. We have a new campaign. We have a new logo. We are increasing our stats on the overall crime rate. Believe it or not, we are below under the national average, and that is not highlighted too much from the city of Hemet, and it's unfortunate. But being here in my role now for 6 months, as of like 5 more days, I'll be here for 6 months. We want to make sure that we're telling the good feel stories. So with Discover Hemet, we're also going to have a hashtag to it. Discover Hemet, tag us where we post it, because we want to make sure that everyone is seeing us. And when influencers come into our city, which we are going to be working in, and I'm breaking another one here. We have an economic development strategic plan that's going to be presented to council on August 13th. In that economic strategic plan, and I might be jumping ahead of myself, but I'm getting excited, so we're in the topic here. There's going to be over 50 strategic strategies that we're going to be going after. One of them is going to be social media influencers. We need to get some big followers out here that can showcase us and target different demographics. You know, we got the Gen Zers. They're really big on social media, and rightfully so. That's what they were born with. So we want to make sure we're capturing them, not doing ads on newspapers or TV channels, etc., because we're not going to see it there. We want to go directly to them. So that's going to be this whole campaign. We're going to also be working with the school districts to make sure they promote that as well, and the chamber, and just make it a regional thing. So Discover Hemet, get lost, come over here, everyone.
I love that. And the fact that City of Hemet is open to talking to influencers, working with them directly. I do follow a handful of, I would say, small to medium size influencers. Yeah, foodies. So definitely when I post on TikTok, because TikTok's the platform to be, TikTok and Instagram. Yes. And, you know, I know the drama behind TikTok, but you know what? I stand firm and I stand loyal just for the platform, not the drama, but the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very powerful. So I will definitely be resharing our podcast that you're listening to now on all of our social media, and get those foodies, get those people out there, the influencers, their followers, because Hemet, when we drive down, I think is that Florida Avenue? That's basically the main strip.
Yeah, the main strip.
I see tons of restaurants, like really good restaurants that, you know, we may not have here in Paris, which is okay. There's a lot of them. I always say, dang, there's so many of them. And there's new ones popping in, Airtopia, all the fun, you know, activities and stuff. So definitely need to bring people in.
Yeah, so just don't go to Hemet.
Yeah.
Go to Discover Hemet.
Yes, that's right.
Hey. And if there's any social, Mike, I like how you said that. If there's any social media influencers listening to this, I am very interested in talking to you further the discussion. What that entails, what it means, let's talk that offline, but I'm interested in further in the conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'll see if I can reshare the influencers to you, Ben, directly.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Like nothing more than that. Yes.
Oh, okay. Very nice. That's exciting. Now, bringing it back a little bit. So we talked about social media influencers and stuff like that. So how about what is economic development? You know, that's kind of a big phrase. I think young people may not really understand what is economic development.
And you know what? That is a great question, because individuals go to colleges to get a degree in business, then they go into pursuing a further education. They get a master's in business administration. They get MBAs, but sometimes through that processes, you learn many things, but then you don't learn the hands-on experience. So I'm going to give you a little nugget of what this is. Economic development are programs, policies, and activities that seek, keyword seek, to improve the economic well-being and quality of life for their respective communities. That is what economic development is. You are the concierge program. When a particular business comes into the city, you're the face. You're the one that's going to make them go through the submittal process and making sure that they fly in flying colors when they're going through each department. Because for those who may not be aware, a business just can't come in here to the city, any city actually. It doesn't even matter if it's Hemet. It could be California, New York, whatever. Every single city, of course, will have different procedures. How can you help us? Is this a great place to come in? Why? So we provide labor market information. That is key. Economic development provides all of the labor market information. What is that? Demographics, such as, hey, what's the median age, household income, how many people are renting, how many people are leasing, what is your demographics in regards to how many, what's your population size? You know, so that is what economic development. You're looking at all the key points, and then you're also looking at key sectors. What are the high growing sectors right now in California? That's the blue and green energy. That's really big. Hydrogen in the next 20 years, that's going to be maybe a theme. So economic development is also foreseeing the future. You're creating jobs that don't even exist. You're looking at sectors that don't even exist, and you're trying to work different ideas and also incentive programs to bring in those particular businesses. City of Hemet may be at a handicap in regards to our strategic location. We may not be directly off the freeway like a lot of our counterparts are down to the south. So they may have a easier time to lure businesses because, I mean, it's straight off the freeway. Hemet is about 10 miles off the freeway. Not that that's a handicap or not. We're not going to make it so, but it's our job to bring in those investors, those developers, those franchisees for better quality of life of our 91,000 constituents that believe in Hemet. They decided of all the places they could have moved to, there's 438, don't quote me on the exact number, but 430 plus councils in the city of California. In the state of California, they decided to come to Hemet. So we owe it to them, to our constituents, as economic development, to bring businesses that are going to prosper, are going to hire people, are going to hire local and pay good livable wages. Those are white collar jobs, 65,000 and above. Blue collar jobs nowadays, that's hard to live in California. Those were great jobs. You can buy a house in the 1950s on a blue collar job, no problem. You're raising your family, everything's peasy. That can't happen no more. So we understand that we live in and I don't like to say the statistics too much because we are a commuter city. What does that mean? Our population throughout the day leaves, and the in and out line, as the city manager, I'm going to use his quote here because I like that example. Our in and out line is longer at 9 p.m. than it is at 6 p.m. What does that mean? People are coming after a 2-3 hour commute. So economic development needs to bring in those jobs, and sometimes it may not be appeasable to all constituents because of location, the sector that the business is. There might be a higher increase of traffic, but rest assured, economic development works with engineering, building, traffic, police, fire, every single department economic development touches, because when a business comes in, it needs to get conditions of approval and has to get approvals, and there are submittals, and in those submittals, economic development follows up with every single department to move the project along. So in a nutshell, economic development truly is the department that brings in quality of life, because our job is to be out there. We're not here in the processes trying to evaluate the business. Hey, you know what? Where's your water? Where are you getting water off, or your runoff, or planning, landscaping? Our job is to bring in, create those jobs, and continue working with them. So hopefully I answered that in a nutshell. I'm not sure if I did or not.
No, you absolutely did. It's economic development, from what I understand, is basically the front line for businesses and corporations to come in and develop in City of Hemet, right?
You just nailed it. And we also come up with all of the incentive programs, grant programs. So recently, I myself just presented the Commercial Facade Improvement Program here in the City of Hemet. We have a lot of great city programs that economic development oversees as well, such as the Trash Enclosure Program, the Vandalism Program, and any other grant programs moving forward. Economic Development will be the department of writing those particular grants and presenting it to council.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And that's important to have grants available for the businesses like that, because then it gives them a step, a helping hand, and also it gives them an incentive to build here in City of Hemet.
Yeah, it makes them feel comfortable to come to Hemet.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that, because we understand that surrounding us economic development wise, and I won't mention the city because they're just doing great. I don't need to be, but they're doing great stuff out there economic development wise. But like I mentioned earlier to the question, some cities are having more difficult than others in luring big business, small business, etc. Why? Because again, there's a thing called ROI, return on investment. So right now, as a whole, as a California, investors are kind of cooling off on building because of the interest rate. It's pretty hard right now, even for businesses to build. And more importantly, City of Hemet Economic Development works with our small businesses. And I didn't want to forget that, because I wanted to save that for last on this question, because 96% of all of our businesses in the City of Hemet are small businesses. 0 to 15 people. That's it. And I just recently did a citywide survey out of the Economic Development Department. Guess what we found? That bulk of these small businesses are working more than 60 hours a week to only make 50 to 60,000 a year. So whenever anybody thinks small business, they're making millions of dollars, etc., always think to yourself, that small business has barely enough to cover their overhead costs. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we do. Even as a small nonprofit, we do see that it's so hard that there's hours worked that people in the public, the community, don't see. And that's the hard part about being a small business owner.
Yes. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we spoke about economic development and what that meant. Now, let's pull it back. And I would like to know, what are the City of Hemet's goals and objectives?
Wow. Well, I can probably spend the next 6 hours talking about that question, and that's a great one. Our objective and our goal is quite simple. Quality of life, increase business, increase city revenue, and more importantly, I'm going to emphasize this in bold letters, highlighted in red, stop leakages from leaving our great City of Hemet. What does that mean? We may not have services that our local constituents want and need. That can be as simple as clothing, food. There might be a particular store that they want to go out to a different city. Well, that's a leakage, because we're missing on that revenue that the city can get. Because with that revenue, we can fix our potholes, fix streets, lights, landscaping, you name it. So that's our biggest thing. We want to make sure that our citizens, our constituents, stay in the City of Hemet. So through our citywide survey, we have pinpointed not only the sectors, but the actual businesses. So our vision and our goals is to bring in hospitality businesses, trade and logistics, manufacturing, and the future of work, the green and blue sector. Aerospace, that's a tough one to get into. They're heavily developing in the city of Long Beach. Long Beach has really gotten a hold on aerospace. Not that the City of Hemet couldn't be able to get into that, but we want to be realistic what we can get in the next 5-10 years, because we want our citizens to see change, not in the next 20 years, not in the next 10 years, in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years. That's what we want. When someone's driving down Florida Avenue, they see immediately the impact that the city is doing. Because again, we understand we may have a stigma. We may have gone through city staff here. We have some fairly new city staff, but I will say that we love our job. We're here for Hemet, and we all have a common goal of making this city great once again. And I say that because Hemet is back. I've been using that catchphrase now for a while, and I don't know, for whatever reason, it's kind of stuck on me. And I say it every time when I'm doing presentations. Hemet is back, and we're going to continue to do so, because as soon as to build momentum in a city, it takes years, decades. It may never happen again. Hence why cities become ghost towns or all businesses leave. So to build momentum in a city, it might be a once in a generational kind of thing here. And Hemet has that gas. We have that ambition, and we have that growth right now. I'm not sure why it's 2024, but it just happens to be that way. So we want to capitalize and exploit this in a great way. Do not let the gas off the pedal. Continue going, but at a steady stream. We're not going to go 0 to 1,000, because then You know what? People say sometimes, hey, you know what? Shoot for the stars. That's fantastic. But before you get to the star, you have to land on the moon, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, etc. before you get to the star. So the city of Hemet is realistic in that way. We're going to take not baby steps, but realistic steps that get us to where we need to be. So the vision of city of Hemet is back, grow on sectors that matter, bring in high paying jobs for our residents, and more importantly, look internally. What can the city do internally to make our city bring us back? Is that more wraparound services, such as homelessness? Is that more crime prevention? Again, I mentioned earlier that overall national average, the city of Hemet is down and has continued to go down. So we have to look internally as well. What can the city do? Because as I take investors on a tour of Hemet, they're looking at this, folks. They look at the most simplest thing. It could be a trash on the floor. Oop, we lost an investor. We have to be mindful of that. Every single one is different, and we have to treat each investor as I don't want to say roll out the red carpet, but we kind of have to roll out the red carpet because these investors are investing millions. We have a particular project that's going to be investing millions and creating over 1,000 jobs. That to create or get is difficult. It may not ever happen. So to my earlier discussion I brought up is not every project, every constituent is going to like, not every project is going to make everyone happy, but the city does take everything to account before we make decisions that we know are going to affect our overall community.
You know, I do like that other catchphrase that you had, that city of Hemet is back.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
So you could always, that's another thing. You can go to, you can discover Hemet because Hemet is back.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Oh, I got to write that down. Thank you, Mike.
Discover Hemet because Hemet is back.
Yeah, discover Hemet
I like that.
Hemet is back.
I could even do a little voiceover for you if you want.
Yeah.
You both have some great voices,
Thank you. You as well, too. You got a great announcer voice.
Yes,
I
you
love
sure
it.
do.
Oh, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Now I'm messy.
We'll have to record. That's so fun. Now, so Ben, you were talking about the new businesses, or you're trying to bring the investors into City of Hemet. And just in the last 6 months to close to a year, just from the time that I really that we joined the chamber there in Hemet, I've seen so much growth and improvement just in the last less than a year, I think. And that really impresses me too, because what you were talking about is realistic time frame to make improvements. Like what you were saying, people saying, no, you got to shoot bigger, got to make it bigger. That's too small, whatever it is. But it's making the realistic improvements and following through with that. That's what I like City of Hemet does.
Thank you for that. And that means a lot to me, because we understand we want to be the next, you know what? Let me rephrase out. We don't want to be like any other city. We want to be our own, but we want to take samples and lessons learned from cities that are doing good right now and incorporate that so we ourselves can write our own history, our own legacy. And as Mike said, discover Hemet because Hemet is back. That's what we want, So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about regional collaboration. You mentioned all these awesome venues, restaurants, businesses that are in Hemet. So tell me how City of Hemet is working with these businesses on regional collaboration.
That's another great question. You're full of great questions today. Wow. So that particular one, to your question, prior to me arriving here to the City of Hemet, I worked out of the LA County. I worked out of the Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Development Board. And in there, I worked for 13 years, I believe. And of those 13 years, 5 of them, I held the title of Business Services Manager. And I was in charge of overseeing 8 cities and working with them congruently, such as Artesia, Bellflower, Cerritos, Downey, Hawaiian Gardens, Lakewood, Paramount, and Norwalk. And those 8 cities, I would do regional job fairs for regional collaboration. And there's the reason why I'm going back in time to where I'm going to get to today. And by doing so, I realized that not only were the actual constituents of those 8 cities benefiting from the county in regards to hosting these events, offering subsidized employment at no cost, in-kind training, but at the same time, working together. It brought cities closer in a sense that, hey, wow, there's a new regional grant coming out, such as what the city of County Riverside has through these catalyst funds. Instead of applying individually, why don't we go in it as a regional team here? So you have better chances of getting funding. So in regards to now bringing it back to Hemet, Hemet recently not joined, but attended the Riverside County Economic Development Coalition, a massive organization in regards to economic development. That's regional. That's on the Southwest corridor. Hemet is not currently in there, but we want to get in there because we want to be part of those walking tours that investors from overseas come here. And that's something that's big. Because when developers, investors, people from overseas are looking to develop, bulk of the time, they're not looking into, hey, you know what? Let me go see what's in Hemet. They may not even know where we're located. What they're doing is let's invest in the county of Riverside. From there, they come into the county, and the county gives tours to potential sites, which Hemet currently has a few sites that we have available on our website, Economic Development in the city of Hemet. You can see, if you go on there, we have a link that lets you know what open parcels that we have, and we share that with the county because prior to my arrival, we weren't really doing too much regional collaboration. Now with the city manager, Mr. Mark Presswich, he understands regional collaboration as well, so he's very big on that and enjoys when we collaborate on a regional approach. So we have only certified our strength with the county as well, and more importantly, we brought in new partners. We just held the Hemet Business Roundtable about a month ago. And we understand, as I mentioned earlier, that Hemet cannot do it by itself. We need partners. If we think we're going to do this alone, we might get swallowed up for all we know. But when you have partners, you're stronger. The force a little stronger. Maybe not as many attacks from the outside. And I mean that as an analogy, not a realistic, But on a regional collaboration, I was able to bring in the SBA. I brought in the Workforce Development Board, SCORE, Chase Bank. I brought in 8 organizations to the Hemet Business Roundtable for regional collaboration. From that alone, so many ideas popped up, such as a potential I'm jumping ahead of myself right now, but you know what? I'll do another breaking news right now. All right, how about that?
Ooh.
So, breaking news. Hemet is in the process of considering, with proper funding, creating what's called the Hemet Business Innovation Center. Big. And that's going to be held here in the downtown area. And what we would be doing would be some innovative stuff. This is not going to be just your normal, hey, business center, come on in. We have these at no cost business solutions. No. We want this to be a section where people can come in, do pop-up stores, create murals, collaborate. That's just in a nutshell 50 plus other things that we're thinking with this center, because we understand as a regional approach, we can help our local citizens and businesses. So that's kind of on that portion on regional approach. And one last thing I'd like to end on that one is the city of Hemet went to ICSC just 2 months ago, I believe. And this is the largest hospitality trade convention in the nation. It takes up the whole Las Vegas Convention Center. The city of Hemet not only attended, but did a slam dunk. We had 28 meetings in those 2 days at ICSC. And why I bring that up is because we were part of the Riverside County table or section. And in there were other different cities. And when investors come in, again, they may have never even heard of our city or other surrounding cities. All they know is they want to invest in Riverside County. So to ending this particular segment would be Hemet believes and is going to hit it hard on regional collaboration to bring in more federal grants, state grants, regional grants, county grants, because we're going to need every dollar in order to shift where we want to be. So without regional collaboration, we might not be able to do that. We solely depend on what the city's bringing in solely, not saying that we can't get there. Yes, we can, but it might take a little longer than we anticipated. And again, we don't want our citizens to wait 10 years, 5 years. We're hoping we can do this at a much quicker pace.
You never know who your partners have in their network that they can lead the collaboration further for City of Hemet. So the fact that you guys are open to regional collaboration and other networks and in your partners in that sense is amazing. And that's really kudos to you guys. I don't hear a lot of cities being open like that. So that's really great.
Yeah, so this is a big development. Go discover Hemet because Hemet is back.
Yes, that's right.
I love that. That's amazing.
And I do have a question too. You're from Orange County area. Did you actually live out in that area?
Yeah, so prior to the great question, prior to my arrival here in Hemet, actually, I was born and raised in LA County in the city of Downey, California. I lived there my whole life, believe it or not, until about 5 years ago. And that's where I moved to Orange County. I lived in the city of Los Alamitos there for about 5 years. And then, believe it or not, decided to go wild, wild west, venture off, go on a crusades. And I decided to come here to the city of Hemet. Prior to my arrival here to the city of Hemet, I knew where Hemet was. I would be lying here in the podcast if I had said I was a daily or frequent visitor of Hemet. But you know what? Now that I'm here, it's grown on me very heavily. So to your question, yeah, I came born and raised in the city of Downey. I was there my whole life, graduate of Downey High School, class of 2024. Joking around. But a little much more earlier than that, but yes.
So what brought you actually to Hemet?
Change, Mike, and that's a great question. Change. I've lived, breathed LA County like my whole life. This is new to me. Riverside County is new to me, and there was a great opportunity here in the city of Hemet to work not only for the city as well, but for the city manager, Mr. Mark Presswich, and I decided to take that opportunity, and I thank the city for giving me the opportunity. It does not go lost in my mind. So now I feel like I owe it to the city to make this city great. So it just attracted me. And more importantly, on my, again, might be divulging too personal stuff, but on my side time, I've really come to enjoy the Native American history. So I actually like to search for petroglyphs and pictoglyphs with respect to the tribe, and not that we're taking anything, or just to discover them, because there is so much history on those Native American pictoglyphs and petroglyphs that I just enjoyed. So here in Hemet, there's quite a few. And I just figured, hey, you know what? Let's immerse myself in the history and culture of it.
Nice.
There's definitely a lot of history to be found in those picture glyphs, if I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, because I like you, when I learned that in history in school and stuff, they touch on a little bit. Then you go to the museums locally here, you see all the different artifacts and things like that. But I don't know if people would actually be able to get a sense of the rich history. So going in deeper into that. So I like that you do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Now let's talk about what the future looks like for the city of Hemet.
Prosperous, rejuvenated. We're back on the map. And more importantly, our citizens are not commuting further, but keeping it internally and keeping those drive times. I won't give the percentage, but we have commuters here that commute for more than 2 hours one way. When I hear that and I hear the percentage, it kills me. As economic development, we need, and I know the jobs that they're going after, where they're driving out to. These may not be jobs that are paying 100,000 or 150. These are jobs that are paying 50 to 80,000. These are jobs that are realistic, that we can bring to the city of Hemet. These are sustainable wages. That's why they purchased in Hemet, because they were able to afford the housing market, but they realized, hey, you know what? In order to afford this, I may have to drive out. So one of our biggest initiatives is to, again, bring jobs that are going to keep people here. Secondly, from the economic strategic plan, we have about 50 plus bullet points that are going to be presented to City Council next Tuesday. So I'll be presenting that to the City Council next Tuesday regarding the economic strategic plan. And in that, once you read it and it comes out, you're going to see, holy smokes, the city of Hemet has some big visions. We understand. We're not talking about, hey, you know what? Let's bring in a Coachella music festival. We want to bring community events, music events, murals, statues. Hey, you know what? You go to St. George, Utah, they have these big buffaloes. I think they have like 100 all over the city. And don't quote me on this, but I believe if you get all of them, you can submit it to City Hall and you get a cool little like backpack with a shirt or something. That's something that Hemet should probably consider. I'm not sure if that's Mammoths or what that looks like, but bringing tourism in. So along with working with social media influencers, thinking of different ways we can create art, public spaces, meeting spaces, halls, we make event centers. An event center brings in a lot of revenue, and that's something we need to consider as well. The city right now may not have a big event center. We have our public Hemet library on the second floor. we may want to consider also bringing one of those centers so we can host big events here on our city. I know Saboba Casita has a beautiful center. I've been there multiple times now. Every time I walk in, I get blown away. And we're not trying to compete with them. We know they're the masters of those, but we're hoping we can bring something not similar or that big of a scale, but something a little smaller, but hosting those kinds of events. And looking into more filming. I'm currently working with the California Film Commission to get more filming here in the city of Hemet. We've had movies such as Seabiscuit, Star Wars commercials, Fast and Furious being filmed here. We kind of lost that. We need to bring that back. And we want to make sure that filmmakers feel safe staying here. But in order to do that, we need to bring more hotels. We need to bring and build more hotels. So we are in the process of entitling a few hotels here. I won't unfortunately, can't say which ones those are, but we are working very heavily because we understand not that Hemet is a desert when it comes to hotels, but we may need a little more of those in regards to keeping our tourism and increasing that. And working on bigger events. I'm not saying we're going to bring in a marathon here, but we need to bring those kinds of events to get big populations coming to it. So that's a bike ride marathon. Who knows what it is. Back in the 50s, a chamber used to put on the Hemet Jeep ride. One of the coolest things I've seen. In the 50s, a chamber were gathered all these Jeeps, these World War II veterans that own Jeeps, and they would drive from here to Anza Borrego, spend the whole weekend here, spend money, and then go back to their houses. That's what we need to do. We need to create these events where it's such an influx just for one event that it clears the next 3-4 months for small businesses, such as like a Coachella Music Festival. That clears so much revenue for the city. Congrats to the city of India for doing a great job on that particular portion. And lastly, I'll cover this one because I know maybe time is short here. Discover Inland Empire. They are the ICSC conferences in tourism. We have just recently joined the Inland Empire, Discover Inland Empire, and we are working with them to host a tour group sometime in December in regards to bringing in different nationalities from the Asian countries and discovering Hemet. Because what we've noticed is international travelers tend to spend, forget the actual percentage, but 30 to 40% sounds about right. They tend to spend about 30 to 40% more than domestic travelers or international travelers from, let's say, Central America, because they tend to have housing already here accommodated, where international travelers have to buy food, hotel, lodging. They love outlets because it's good products. And that's what I was told from the director themselves. So we have all of the qualities here as to why. So we need to continue growing that Discover Inland Empire. And for anybody that would like to learn more, what's happening in Hemet, how do I know what cool stuff is going on? Our economic development webpage was just created 2 months ago. So had you logged in there 2 months ago, it wouldn't even exist. It's live now, and we're only going to make it even better. I like to give kudos to the city of, I think it's Menifee. You click on their economic development page, you swear you're going into like a blockbuster Michael Bay film, They got some cool stuff over there. I couldn't swear I was watching Transformers or the Menifee intro. And I say that because we're not trying to copy any other city, but we like to give kudos to where we see good work. And the city is going to be working very heavily and upgrading our economic development page in particular. So we have that feel of, whoa, what, in a great way,
I'm glad that you're talking about all these topics because tourism is really big, especially in the Asian community coming out here and stuff. Because in the Asian community, we love casinos, we love gambling. I myself, I'm a sore loser, so I don't like to gamble. But I know people of my ethnicity love to gamble, love to spend the money when they're out here, and making Hemet is a destination location is really cool because especially from other communities, other international locations coming here, we should make Hemet a destination. Especially we got the casinos, got the reservations, we got the restaurants, we got the outlets, and it is a little bit of a desert-y-ish, I think, but still city, feel also. So we have both of the accommodations. So I think it's a perfect opportunity.
Perfect fit.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that because that only reinforces, and I genuinely mean that, Fee, because it reinforces that we're going in the right direction for international travel. Because hearing it from you, it only solidifies, hey, you know what? we're going the right track. And international tourists tend to, like you say, go to the casinos, and it patronizes the Soboba casino as well. And that's another thing where I'm going to go back to regional collaboration. I get excited when I think about this. If our neighbors to the north win, meaning San Jacinto, we win. If Hemet wins, San Jacinto wins. Yeah. So I think as a regional, because when the feds look at a regional approach, they're not just looking at Hemet or San Jacinto, they're looking at it as a valley whole. And the more we start thinking like that, the greater we all can grow, and so can the Soboba tribe. They're part of the mix as well. So the three of us working together as one, wow, what can we do?
That's right. That's very exciting. The future there in Hemet is very exciting. Just the points that you talked about, bringing music in, Mike and I were talking about that too. In the near future, we hope to do something with a music venue, having a concert of some sort. So, we're kind of open. We are open to seeing what our neighbors have. And because, we don't want to stick to one area. We want to be open to seeing what other venues are out there.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the last point I'd like to talk about, Ben, I saw on social media, we're talking about such great points for City of Hemet. So I want to throw in an interesting, maybe controversial topic.
Okay.
I heard a lot of comments on social media from the Hemet Logistics West by the Lakes. You want to tell me what is the controversial part about that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And that is a very, it's a great question. Because I'm going to rewind just a couple minutes ago when I talked about we want to bring in business, and we may not necessarily make all of our constituents happy, although we want to. I want to make that very clear. Whoever's listening to this, we want to, but we might not be able to. This particular Hemet Logistics West proposed warehouse would bring in 4 different warehouses into that particular area, create 900 jobs, and more importantly, make that particular area blossom. The landscape proposed will be phenomenal, trees, you name it. But we understand to the if you're facing north to the west of that, there's a particular residential area that we are talking to. We'd like to speak to them. And more importantly, so is the developer, because I think sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. And what you do know helps clarify what is happening. And there's transparency. So anybody that is curious or wants to know about this particular Hemet Logistics West, feel free to contact me. I can only talk about the project so much, so excuse me if I'm not beating around the bush, or not. Maybe it doesn't feel like I'm answering straight, but I want to. So anybody that's interested, please contact me so we can further the discussion. But I want to make sure that they understand that this project was put in mind with the constituents in mind. Sure. Again, I mentioned earlier, Hemet is not off a freeway. We don't have one. We're not trying to clog up traffic. So we have to use the roads and accessibility that's to us. And we have done many, developers currently doing many traffic studies to see how we can alleviate that particular area. And more importantly, keep everyone in mind for this. So to your question, we're hoping that in the near future, it doesn't become what it is now, in a sense that people are more clear of what the project is proposed, and the city wants to be and will be transparent for this project. So hopefully I kind of answered it in what I best could for right now for the information I'm able to share. But I will say that any constituent that has concerns or wants to voice their opinion, City Council is next Tuesday on the 13th. That's what it's there for. We need to hear your local city council member should hear your concerns if you have any on what the project is. So then your local city council member, elected official, which we have a great council, all 5 council members, could tell you, hey, you know what? This is what the project is. This is what it's going to bring. The whole development was put into mind with green energy right now. And I really mean this. And I want to make this, I want to put it on here. Electric trucks right now exist, but they're so expensive, and the amount of cargo they can carry and how much they can drive, it's not cost efficient for many, unless you're an Amazon, a conglomerate that can afford those and doing short drive, sure. But for some of these mid and smaller range companies, you're probably 20 years away from ever having electric truck vehicles, So right now, it is those gas vehicles, but keeping in mind the emissions they release, green vehicles. But again, keeping in mind that technology, even for hydrogen trucks, we are 20 to 30 years away for something like that. So I want to just make that that the city is keeping that in mind. And more importantly, anything that's there in regards to historical sense, trees, seeing how we can do that as conditions of approval to move the project along.
You know, I'm glad that you're talking about that too, the green and blue energy projects, because we need to take baby steps and realistic steps to be able to make those improvements and make sure that works until we're able to make those big changes. So I'm glad that you guys keep that in mind.
Yep.
And keep it realistic too. And I want to say, Ben, the fact that you are addressing this topic, it's a little bit controversial, but that's realistic. We've seen other cities, I'm on social media all the time. I see the news, the comments people post and stuff like that. And it's so easy to hide behind the phone, the computer, and comment about a project, that whatever is coming in, put that negative comment in there. But it's another thing to go directly to the city council, make your voice heard, and that's the appropriate step, because posting it on social media, may not be heard in the appropriate way, and people need to realize, okay, so you voice it on social media and that's fine, but if you really want to make an impact and make sure that your voice is heard, go to your city council and be sure that your voice is heard in the appropriate manner.
Yes.
Thank you, Phoebe. And if I may, I know we're short with time here, and if I may just add to that is, maybe you might not be able to join our August 13th meeting or future council meetings. Maybe you want to reach out to me directly. Please do so. My phone and email are open to you. Anybody that has concerns on any projects, I would be more than glad to sit with you, talk to you over the phone, so you are clear where the city is going, where it needs to go in order to keep us relevant. And I genuinely mean that. We're not Hemet of the 1990s, 80s, 2000s. We were in a bubble back then. We're no longer in a bubble. We need to be showcased out to the world in order to make our city great. And every single constituent in our city, it doesn't matter if it's a child going to school, mom, dad, retiree, even myself, the city employees, everyone is going to play a key role in making Hemet great, making us back, everyone. And as simple as making a Facebook message, -1. Well, guess what? A group may have thousands of followers. Now thousands of people think that that's the message that the city is doing. That is not what it is. Far from it. So please come and see me, the city manager, your local city council member, if you have any questions on development, so we can ease your, I don't want to say pain, but questions you may have that are keeping you up at night. That's not what we want. So everyone counts, everyone matters, but at the same token, everyone has to play a key role in making Hemet what we were once again, and even better. So hopefully I've answered all your questions, and this has been a lot of fun. Wow. Can't believe that's been an hour already.
See, time just flies when we're just talking.
Sure does.
Well, Ben, this is a great opportunity to get our listeners to hear about City of Hemet, what's coming in Hemet. It's all very exciting. This has been Ben Sandoval. He is the Economic Development Manager at City of Hemet. Be sure to contact him. So Ben's email is bsandoval@hemetca.gov. You can go online at hemetca.gov. And also follow City of Hemet on Instagram and Facebook at City of Hemet. Thank you so much, Ben. We appreciate it.
Thank you both. What a great time. And thank you so much for the warm welcoming and an amazing experience. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Mike and Phoebe Show on Alternative Twist Radio. If you missed any past episodes, just search the Mike and Phoebe Show or Alternative Twist Radio on any major podcast app.